Hello friends. After about a month and a half of just pure pain, I am back and done with college apps. Let me tell you, that was a very demoralizing process, and what am I gonna do? Talk more about it because I have no other personality trait elsewise. Anyways, in this video, I'm gonna talk to you guys about how I applied to 25 colleges and made it out alive. Anyways, without further ado, let's just get started. So the first thing you need to know / determine is whether or not you're really doing it for the right reason and whether or not you should do it at all. But for me, I decided to shotgun to so many colleges because I am an international student that is requesting financial aid from colleges. And if you know anything about colleges, then they are not very generous with their financial aid when it comes to foreign nationals. I knew I was at a disadvantage, so I opted to shotgun. Other people may choose to shotgun for different reasons. Just don't shotgun to schools that you won't end up going to. So tangentially related, don't shotgun to schools that you're not going to. Your personal reasons can vary. Just make sure that you actually need to shotgun. And that kind of leads me to my next point, which is to only apply to schools that you actually want to go to, even if you are applying to 25 plus schools. I have spoken to a lot of people who were applying to like 10 different safety schools, which made absolutely no sense because A, they were wasting a lot of money, and B, they were wasting a lot of time on their applications when they knew that they were going to get into a better school. So it really just doesn't make sense to put in all that time and effort into something that you won't be able to enjoy anyways, because at the end of the day, even if you do get accepted to all 35 colleges, you're only going to one. So for me, I had a match school that I was basically auto-admit to, McGill University. From the moment I got into McGill, I knew that I didn't need to apply elsewhere for matches and safeties. And the same goes for the other side of the spectrum for reaches. Don't just apply to a reach because it's a good school. It still has to be a good fit for you as well. When I was in the midst of doing my college applications, it kind of dawned on me that UChicago was 100% not a fit for me at all. I'm someone who really values a work hard, play hard culture, which is why I early decision to Penn. And for a place that's called Where Fun Goes to Die, that definitely was not my spot, so I took it off. So yeah, even if you are throwing your shot basically everywhere around the country, still do it semi-strategically wherever you can. Next thing about shotgunning is that costs add up so fast. Shotgunning is so expensive. There are way more things that go into it than you think it would, besides the application fees, which are already exorbitantly expensive. I'm talking about, on average, I think most schools were about $70 per application, and then you have to count for your CSS profile, which is your financial aid profile, which doesn't make sense. If you're asking for more money from the institution and then you have to pay them to ask for anyway, you have to pay a $26 base fee and then an additional $15 per school. So that added up super quick. And then you have to send scores for some schools. Some schools will allow you to self-report your scores, but I know Georgetown makes you send them. And it's just not a fun time, if I'm gonna be wholly honest. I know people who have spent upwards of $3,500 on their application process alone. I know that's what my friend spent on his, and he applied to 24 schools. For me, I spent a little bit less because I requested fee waivers. If you ask most schools, if you just email their admissions office, they will provide you fee waivers. Or if you've already obtained a fee waiver in the past, whether it be for the SAT or the ACT, they will just automatically give you one basically 95% of the time. So make sure you pay attention to that because it's a costly process and you don't want to be throwing $3,500 down the drain just for nothing. Besides the college essays, you'll have your letters of rec, your video supplements, your interviews, your counselor recs, your school reports, so on and so forth. And it's so important that you should keep organized because sometimes the documents won't send on time. So what I would recommend is to keep a spreadsheet. I know a lot of people will recommend spreadsheets just to rank your schools based on your safety, matches, reaches, but having a spreadsheet to keep track of all your files is so important. Also because some schools will require different materials than others, so again, it's just so much more convenient, and it'll make sure that you don't forget anything because, again, super easy to I know I had like 5 heart attacks trying to figure out what documents I was missing. I'll actually show you what my spreadsheet looks like right now. It's all color coded and everything, but you can see I have a column for whether or not I've sent my transcript, whether or not the letters of rec have sent, whether or not I have completed the financial aid, what portal it's on, because I did both Coalition and both Common App, because Common App has a limit of 20 schools. Having this spreadsheet single-handedly kept me on the top of my game, especially when schools were requiring me to upload tax documents on a separate portal from my CSS profile. Pen, there's a special blaze in hell for you for that, especially after rejecting me. Next thing I would emphasize when it comes to shotgunning to schools is to work smarter and not harder. So when you're applying to college, I would say that there's an average of 3 required essays that you have to write per school. You multiply that by 25 and that's 75 essays that you have to write. And I don't know about you, but I don't have time to write 75 essays. So what you have to do is you have to make a system for reusing the essays. I've already made a video about how to find inspiration and motivation to write those essays, which you can check out here. But in this video, I'm going to talk about my actual system that I use. I copied all of my questions into a spreadsheet. I also labeled what school they were from. And then I had a separate column in which I put in the different themes or categories that the questions fell into. And what you will notice about college essay questions is that they are pretty similar from school to school, and they'll fall within certain themes. The general themes can be background questions, so questions asking about your cultural identity, your sexual orientation, or just your community in general. Questions about community service, extracurriculars, intellectual challenges, why you're applying to XYZ major, and why you're applying to a certain college. And finally, of course, there are always questions that don't fall neatly within these categories, but I would say that these categories cover about 90% of what you're going to encounter on these college apps. Then on your spreadsheet, what you're going to do is you are going to sort that category column from A to Z, so it groups all the categories together, and then once you write certain essays, you can cross-reference it for the other. So when I wrote my Georgetown extracurricular essay, I cross-referenced it for Vanderbilt. Now, a lot of the essays will have slightly different themes or slightly different word counts, and I'm not saying to copy them word for word every single time. You will have to adjust some of these essays accordingly to each school, but it makes your job so much easier and just saves you a lot of time, and it's still your writing. One point of nuance that I will add is that for Y college or Y major questions, you want to specify the specific programs or the specific resources at the college/department/major that you're applying to. But even then, you can have a specific framework of the essay and then switch out programs. Just make sure that the Y college, Y major essays aren't too general, because that kind of shows a lack of interest. You really want to show that you're interested in the schools. But again, for the more creative writing style prompts, just go crazy and reuse those essays, because that is probably, again, one of the only reasons why I came out of this process half functional. Another thing that will help you lessen your workload as you shotgun to a crap ton of colleges is to do your interviews before you apply. This specifically applies to most of the liberal arts colleges around the country, but I know other schools let me do it as well. I think Georgetown let me interview before I submitted my application. So I think I did around 8 college interviews in the fall, and then another 8 to do in the spring, which sounds like a lot, but that is still 8 less than I would have to have done in regular decision had I just not done it. Next, burnout is really real and life happens. When I was applying regular decision, I had so many assignments due for the end of my second quarter, and whoever said that senior year was easy was batshit insane and just outright lying, because it really wasn't. I was doing so much of my end of quarter work. I remember like literally on my birthday switching tab to tab, trying to make order of all the assignments and all the deadlines and all the applications I still needed to submit, which was not a fun birthday at all. Make sure that you account for all of the things that are happening in your life and all the things that are happening at school so you don't catch up behind. So try to start as early as you can. Well, not too early. Don't start in your junior year. Just start in like the summer before your senior year. Try to enjoy some of the years of high school that you have. That is my #1 tip for people that are applying to college. That's all I have for you guys in this video. Hopefully you learned a thing or two from my trials and tribulations, and let me know if you are shotgunning or if you are planning to shotgun, because I guess only high school juniors would find this helpful at this point because seniors are probably done by now. But if you're a senior listening into this, please let me know how your college application process went. I'd love to hear. Hopefully my next video will be up soon because I am now unleashed from the hellfire that was college applications. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!